Those who balance precariously on tiptoe cannot plant their feet on solid ground. Those who dash forward in haste rarely travel far. Those who compete to outshine their neighbors end by dimming their own light. So teaches Lao Tzu. And yet, we live in an age obsessed with self-improvement, performance metrics, and endless optimization. We cram days full of plans to become better, faster, richer, wiser, happier, only to wake again and again with a nagging sense that nothing essential has shifted. Consider the enormous energy modern people invest in upgrading their lives. We sign up for new courses, devour books, memorize routines, follow influencers, stack to-do lists. We chase possessions that promise status, experiences that promise fulfillment, titles that promise validation. In the process, we overtax our bodies and crowd our minds. And when the dust finally settles, many of us discover we feel no closer to genuine contentment than before we began. The early Taoists watched this frantic cycle and concluded that human striving often backfires. The harder we push the current, the more violently the water sprays in our face. From a Taoist standpoint, every rule, ethic, value system, and grand plan, however noble, begins as a human projection. We invent them to elevate society, to structure morality, to keep chaos at bay. Yet, paradoxically, the ancient masters advise us to release these very constructs. Their reasoning is stark. The more tightly we grip our blueprints, the farther we drift from the effortless rhythm of the cosmos. To force nature into a human mold is to paddle upstream while believing you are crossing an ocean. Exhaustion accrues. Progress stalls. The river remains unmoved by your determination. Hidden beneath the universe's kaleidoscopic swirl of forms is a mystery Taoists call Tao, the way. For lack of any word that could truly capture it, Tao is everywhere and nowhere, obvious and unfathomable. We can taste it, feel it, briefly glimpse its pattern, yet the moment we try to bottle it in language, it evaporates. Human intellect, so powerful in the realm of measurement, becomes clumsy when it confronts the boundless. Nonetheless, we keep trying to press the infinite into names and diagrams. We catalog, subdivide, arrange, and rate, until the living forest of reality is replaced by a tidy herbarium of dried labels. Lao Tzu warned about the peril of overspecification. The 5 colors blind the eye. The 5 tones deafen the ear. The 5 flavors numb the palate. Our impulse to codify sensation improves focus on narrow slices, yet blinds us to everything beyond the chosen slice. The problem repeats itself when we engineer ironclad moral codes and social rituals. We hope fixed formulas will grant certainty, yet the world shapeshifts by the hour. What cures illness today can become a toxin tomorrow. What unites a tribe in spring may divide it by autumn. At the core of the Taoist critique stands a single slippery verb: to try. Contemporary culture rewards effort, champions hustle, fetishizes grit. The Taoist tradition instead proposes wu-wei, commonly rendered non-action. In the vocabulary of peak experience, wu-wei describes effortless action, the musician so immersed in performance that she and the melody are inseparable, the athlete who feels the game unfold through him rather than from him. In our present reflection, wu-wei reverts to its literal face, doing nothing. That notion scandalizes the modern work ethic, yet Taoists defend it fiercely. The universe is in ceaseless motion. Within that natural current, progress is always occurring. When we strain, we churn the stream. When we stop forcing, the water clarifies on its own. Picture how many knots have loosened the moment you quit tugging. Disputes that resolved once tempers cooled. Projects that unfolded smoothly only after deadlines were relaxed. Sicknesses that healed when rest replaced frantic treatment. Again and again, Taoists argue, human beings absorb themselves in unnatural tasks, wearing out sinews and nerves chasing mirages. Why do we persist? Because we slice life into dualities and then sprint toward whichever pole we judge superior. We fear poverty and adore wealth. dread obscurity and worship fame, avoid solitude, and cling to community. In fleeing one side and gorging on the other, we forget the two depend on each other for meaning. We also hold fast to the fantasy that nature requires our improvement schemes. We overlay landscapes with grids and categories, intending to tame them, and then stand bewildered when outcomes remain mixed at best. Let us test these ideas against three familiar arenas. First, the desire to save the world. Alan Watts once observed that the most troublesome people often are those hell-bent on rescuing everyone else. Such crusaders, animated by sincere compassion, nevertheless impose their private definitions of good and evil on vast populations. Communism began as a blueprint for fairness, equal distribution of goods and power. Yet the zeal to implement that blueprint birthed ruthless purges and re-education camps. Whether or not the ideals were right, the attempt to graft them forcibly onto diverse cultures led to tragedy. Zhuang tells a cautionary tale. A devoted student named Yan Hui asks Confucius for permission to travel to the state of Wei and reform its tyrannical ruler. Confucius forbids it. Even if Yan Hui possesses flawless doctrines, the despot is unlikely to listen. Worse, the common people will resent a stranger preaching superiority. If you storm in brandishing measures and standards, Confucius cautions, you merely use another's shortcomings to display your own brilliance. The result is not harmony but deeper fracture. Lao Tzu articulated the same fear. The world is a sacred vessel. You cannot control it. Attempt to grasp it, and it will slip through your fingers. Second, the tireless quest to be happy. We budget endless energy chasing milestones. A fortune in the bank, a best-selling novel, 100,000 followers. Each conquest delivers a brief thrill, then dissolves into the next chase. Zhuang catalogs society's coveted prizes: wealth, fame, longevity, spotless reputation, exquisite food, fine garments, breathtaking vistas, intoxicating music. Those who lack them worry. Those who possess them slave to protect them. Both groups wear themselves out. This, he sighs, is a foolish way to treat the body. Third, the compulsion to be someone else. In Zhuangzi's parable of envy, a centipede covets the snake's fluid glide. The snake covets the wind's invisible flight. The wind laments that a child's finger can block its path. Likewise, modern humans bleach and bronzify skin, pursue surgeries, straighten curls, perm straight hair, amputate an extra toe to fit a 5-digit standard. Nature assigned every creature its own aptitudes. Only judgment invents better and worse. In chasing an imported ideal, we disturb the equilibrium of the whole. How could there be beauty without ugliness, good without evil? Lao Tzu asks. Being and non-being produce each other. Difficult and easy complement each other. Long and short measure each other. High cannot exist without low, front without back. Straining toward one pole is futile because the pole's meaning springs from its opposite. So what do Taoists propose instead of the familiar grind? Zhuang praises the middle path, residing within one's natural limits, honoring health, staying close to one's original design. Hold to the center and the constant, he writes, and you will preserve your life whole, care for your parents, and live out your years. Lao Tzu adds the practice of daily unlearning. Instead of stacking more doctrines on the shelf, we let one rigid idea go each dawn. In the quiet that follows, Tao seeps in. The masters called this process the fasting of the heart. When the heart is empty of clamor, satisfaction arises without invitation. In such wu-wei, nothing is forced, yet nothing remains undone, because every deed flows with the river rather than against it. Who, then, is the wisest among us? Perhaps the person who loosens his concepts, relaxes his grip, and allows the currents of existence to steer him. He no longer scrambles to fix the universe. He watches the universe unfold through him. He no longer strains to force happiness. Happiness settles like evening dew once the atmosphere is cool and still. He no longer fights to be someone else. He rests in the shape nature carved for him and discovers, to his surprise, that the shape fits. And so the ancient counsel sounds fresher than ever. Unclench. Stop forcing. Trust the current. Allow the painted scaffolds of ideology to peel away until you meet the living structure beneath. Let the river carry you where of itself it bends, and you will find you have traveled farther, with lighter muscles and clearer eyes, than all they who strode on tiptoe toward the horizon. Thank you for traveling this reflection from edge to edge.